All right, you're welcome back. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis show. Once again, apologies for those of you who are listening on radio. This show will be rebroadcast. You will get to hear the full version of it. And for those of you on TV, well, you can continue to enjoy. Now, we are aware that authorities in Brazil had indicated to various news media. I'm looking at a report by Al Jazeera right now. I have seen also Sky Television based in the UK, where I've heard the report on the BBC where they report that some 200 Ghanaians who went as fans are seeking asylum. And their reason is that they are fleeing from religious violence. Well, the Ministry of Information and Media Relations yesterday issued a statement denying, and the Foreign Affairs Ministry also subsequently wrote to the Brazilian authorities telling them that what the people were using as a basis or the justification cannot be sustained. I start with you, Felix. So you are asking the Brazilian authorities to simply ship them back? Is that it?
I mean, I was completely stunned yesterday when I heard the news. The justification given for the request for asylum was astonishing in its defiance of logic. It is so easy to find out that this thing is not true. And I'm sure the international media organizations themselves were fully aware that maybe they were just reporting the news as it was. But I'm sure they have local correspondents and other ways of gathering information. And they knew that there was no such religious conflict raging in Ghana, for which reason anybody could cite that as a basis to seek asylum in Brazil. Like I indicated in the statement, the Foreign Ministry had instructed our embassy in Brazil to quickly get in touch with the Brazilian authorities and ascertain the full facts. Their report was submitted sometime in the evening yesterday, and it turns out that it was actually a group of 230 supporters belonging to the Ghana Supporters Union who decided to embark on this rather unfortunate adventure. 150 of them left for Sao Paulo. That is where they got in touch with authorities and said that they wanted to seek asylum because they were people of a certain religious extraction who had come under persecution because there was some inter-religious conflict. It was important that we immediately correct the misimpression that they were creating about Ghana. And everybody knows that we are one of the most stable and peaceful countries in the whole world, not just in West Africa or Africa. That is why we were quite swift in our response. If for nothing at all, we needed to underscore or underline the fact that this country was not undergoing any such religious conflict. As for people wanting to seek economic asylum or economic refuge, I don't think that it came as too much of a surprise. It's a problem that almost every African country or developing country is grappling with. There are people who are always quick to want to migrate to areas where they perceive greener pastures exist. The Foreign Ministry has indicated clearly that they completely are against this request. Again, because of the fact that their request is patently false and it is so easy to establish this, it is highly unlikely that the request will succeed. And so it will be turned down and they will be brought back under repatriation to the extent that the necessary processes are completed. Our interest as a government is to ensure that their rights are respected and that nobody is maltreated, even if the application was quite frankly outrageous. There has been some confusion. I've heard people say that, oh, they have heard that in the end about 1,000 people would apply for asylum in Brazil.
That's the BBC reporting.
Yeah, and it is being interpreted
as being the expectation of the Brazilian
authorities. And it is being interpreted that then government sent more than 700 people, as has been. Let me state for the record that government, through various means, managed to sponsor 700 or so people to go to Brazil. We are aware that the Brazilian embassy in Ghana issued 3,000 visas to prospective football fans. And so there are many people who found their way to Brazil on their own accord, having gone through due process. They are there legally. If 1,000 or so of them decide that they are going to apply for asylum, beyond advising the Brazilian government appropriately, there's little that government can do in terms of controlling them. Government certainly is responsible for those that it sent.
It's a legitimate question to ask that government should be able to account for these persons who were screened and allowed to go.
Yes,
national security
in terms of those who
and they took a flight that was supposed to be a return flight.
Yes, there are. In terms of those who government sent, government certainly is responsible for their safety and well-being whilst in Brazil, and also responsible for them coming back. But they got 90-day visas, okay? And so they were entitled legally to stay in Brazil up to 90 days. There are some of them who indicated that they are capable on their own of coming back. Some of them have friends, relatives who visited them, they visited them and all that. If after 90 days they haven't come, then there's a problem. But I can assure you that it is something that is under control. We were completely astonished by this move that they made to go and see political asylum, especially because of this reason that they gave. But if the numbers go beyond what government sent, it is not because government sent more than 700 people, but it is because people found their own way to Brazil. And to the extent that the application is unreasonable, we do not expect that they would receive much success, or they will get much success in terms of their...
Nana, just when you thought that the international disgrace that we were getting was over with the cutting of the $3 million, this one comes in, and we are making all the news again for this particular very shameful act.
You know, the disgrace never stops. But something, and this, you've apologized to us for cutting the show. But the apology is not enough. It's a deliberate decision taken by your management. And it's not a wise...
Nana is calling for...
It's not a wise
the public
decision.
to occupy Joy FM.
I mean, if you're having some function somewhere, start it at 11:30 so that you can have your news file on, and you can... I'm getting so many text messages from people that, why is the program off? Why do you do that to us?
And so we will broadcast it.
You do it all. Last year you did the same thing. Joy FM and your management. Now, Felix, this business about a parliamentary thing, in my view, what they're asking for is inclusion. And I believe that this matter of the World Cup is such a big matter. It's a national matter. So if people are asking for a certain inclusiveness in the committee, I think it's okay.
Yeah, but that point could have been made without the propaganda.
Your supporters who have defected, I mean, it's a huge embarrassment, something. I mean, after the 3 million...
Again, they are Ghana supporters union members. I think that sometimes...
Can I finish?
Sometimes it's unfair, the way that we do analysis. These are Ghanaians.
Okay.
Their political identity for me is immaterial.
You are refusing to take the fact he's giving you.
Yeah, it's a fact. You can verify.
Can I finish? It's a huge embarrassment. After the 3 million airlift, we didn't think that anything else was going to come. And then this one too. In Brazil. Brazil is a third world country, mind you. And that is where they chose to defect. And they themselves, look at the excuse they gave, that there's religious persecution. We all know it is not true. So basically, they are seeking economic refugee status. They are seeking economic refugee status. And they've embarrassed the country through this. If you are religious persecution, why haven't you gone to Burkina Faso? Or why haven't you gone to Cote d'Ivoire? But you wait to be transported to Brazil, and then you inflict this on the country. But you see, Felix is not happy about, I'm saying, their supporters. You see, you shoot yourself in the foot all the time, NDC people. It is your own deputy minister who told the country that he would make sure, and they are the ones in charge of the airlift, that the majority of the supporters that will be transported will be NDC supporters.
But that deputy minister had nothing to do with the airlift.
Please,
but I can assure you.
Please, how do I know that?
The people who went to Brazil have different political colorations.
We know.
In fact, I can even mention specifically that it is unnecessary. It is unnecessary.
The deputy minister, your colleague, your colleague, he told us that the majority of the people who would go will be NDC supported. It's not me who's saying it. So if there's they've gone and done something there, I am quite happy in my conclusion that the majority of the people who have done the thing they have done are NDC supporters. It's your government who told us. And he wasn't rebuked. Nobody disowned his statement. And his statement still stands today. And look at the embarrassment. You told us that the people who go with the taxpayers' money will be NDC supporters. And so if they've gone and they're seeking asylum, you say what? Now they all belong to all political parties. You see? And now they are seeking asylum. What the government is saying that the asylum should be refused. I don't know if refusal of asylum depends on the country affected. There are conventions about this matter. You can't say they should be deported. The people say they are fleeing from persecution. Now you say they should be
it will be found out. I mean, you have said that it is not true for you.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
have the capacity
I'm saying that
to make that determination.
Your response is that the Brazilian government should deport them. I'm saying I don't know if that kind of response falls into the convention.
You see, in fact, if you are speaking strictly to the two releases, the release by the Ministry of Information, it does not say specifically that they should return them. If you read the release by the letter by the Foreign Affairs Ministry,
it disputes the
they
claim.
speak strictly to the justification they are seeking to raise, to say nothing of the sort exists in the country.
Yes. And I'm sure the Brazilian...
I'm sure they are careful. They know about
the Brazilian high embassy here will let their people in Brazil. But it's a huge embarrassment that of all the African countries that went to Brazil, it's only Ghanaians who are seeking economic asylum. It's a huge embarrassment.
Doc, what do you say about this particular episode?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, the whole issue of asylum seeking is a very, vexed area that a number of people have shown interest in. And when I look at these things, compared with other cases that, I've been involved in, I think that, there's a component that is not captured. And I suspect that there could be agents, involved, intermediaries, that may be involved in trying to organize these young supporters of Ghana with a promise that when they go to Brazil, they are going to find them places of work, they are going to let them be able to stay in Brazil. Because before you actually go through the process of applying for an asylum, they normally would have given you some guidance and then some directions, and for you to be able to select certain reasons that will be compelling enough for the authorities that will be reviewing your application to consider that. And it's most likely that there are agents involved, especially when the numbers that have been mentioned are in excess of the official numbers that have been flown to Brazil. It suggests that they could have been other entities, agents, that worked with these groups and promised them, probably haven't taken some monies from them. So it again obviates the need for the other eminent footballers that have been put together for them to consider looking at some of these things, some of the things that might have happened out of the official sanctioned activities of the project. Again, if you come to analyze, sports and the opportunity it provides nations to market themselves, it's scandalous. It's scandalizing. It's really very worrying that these guys have gone to give us this brand. And we hope that, subsequent groups will be properly educated, will be properly, alerted to carry the nation and understand that wherever they go, they must, carry the brand of Ghana high.
Right. Kuku, what do you say about it and the reaction from government, from the information and then the foreign affairs?
Yeah, we're being told that 230 members of the Ghana Supporters Union. So now we're getting closer to a certain point of identification.
Right.
They have a leadership here, don't they?
They do.
So we obviously know who they are.
In fact, we've requested for a list of names so that we identify them specifically. And also we make certain that they are in fact Ghanaians.
That is where I'm proceeding to. Since we now have a certain base, we should proceed on that basis, get their names, get their identities. As for the question of 90 days visa, which is true in terms of the law, immigration laws of Brazil, since they have applied for asylum, if indeed they have, clearly that their 90-day visa thing is becoming a non-entity. I mean, redundant, in the sense that they don't intend staying on for the 90 days. They want asylum. Yes, if we can identify these people and they are Ghanaians and their names are available, their organizers and things are here, please, let's get them resolved quickly. And let's find out, did they go as part of the official supporters who were sponsored? I'm not sure if you get my drift, because from what Felix is saying, 700 were sponsored by government. These 230, were they part of the 700?
What happened is that this is a monthly collection.
And he refers to a total number of visas that were issued
beyond,
so people have
in excess of is it 3,000?
Yeah, but that's what I want to know. These 230, this Ghana Supporters Union, they were part of the official list, were they?
Not all of them. There are some who made their own arrangements.
Interesting. That's what we need to know.
But once they got there, they congregated.
The embarrassment there is there. It's obviously there, but let's deal with the specifics now and make progress on it.
They had also suggest that if they get deported back they should be tried criminally for
Have they
deceit.
committed a crime?
Quote the law for me.
Yeah, I don't think
you
they
are the
committed a
lawyer.
crime. It's certainly
I
embarrassing,
don't want to
They
speculate.
have gone there to deceive public officers that there is
but that's them Brazil?
religious violence here and there is
No,
not.
but deceive a Brazilian public officer, not the Ghanaian. I don't know. Let the lawyers give us the specifics. I don't want to go into the realm of speculation. It might be a minefield, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
we can hoot at them.
Yeah, even on this
when they
issue
get to the we can name and shame.
on this issue of economics
That's
that
no law.
Honorable Nanakumia mentioned, you know, it's an aspect that we need to look at critically, and then we try to compare things and see whether there's even that real need. If you look at the history of this country, when we used to have brain drain, when we used to have a whole class of medical students graduating and all of them the following year fleeing the country, you notice that the retention of critical staff for this country's development has been very high over the years, and it suggests that there is a growing confidence in the economy of the country, and also
well, these are individuals who don't want to wait for the investments that you were talking about. They can't wait.
It is not the most flattering of positions to be in as a country. But let us not
of course.
Economic migration is a long-standing issue.
Oh, yes.
Since I became deputy minister, I've had at least 2-3 occasions on which I've had to speak to issues of migration. The Lampedusa tragedy, for instance, there was some concern that Ghanaians were involved. Indeed, there's evidence that some Ghanaians make the attempt to go to Italy through Libya. And I take a very perilous journey on the sea.
But this Gambia,
yes, exactly. Because economic migration, even into countries that you would otherwise not.
Kweku's request to me, I'm thinking that maybe in our quest to, you know, further improve the boundaries of freedom of expression and speech, we may have been careful in the way we repealed the seditious or criminal libel law. there is
well, there are going calls for it.
No regrets. No regrets there.
There's a section that says that a person who communicates to any other person, whether by word of mouth or in writing or by any other means, a false statement or report which is likely to injure the credit of or reputation of Ghana or the government, and which that person knows or has reason to believe is false, commit a second-degree felony.
But this is
should be punished. Section 185.
I really doubt that.
We fought for it. I have no regrets.
I don't think that's
we'll name and shame.
We have run out of time, but just maybe 30 seconds. Do you think that the Ministry of Health is doing sufficiently enough to bring awareness about Ebola?
Well, they can do more. And there's always...
but do you visibly see what they are doing to educate people?
No, I haven't seen their programs on television on the scale that I would have wished.
They say they have activated the surveillance team.
No. Programs on television and radio. They should have saturation messages.
Right.
The radio stations that you can even do it free. On Dr. Zachariah's thing about the migration. Zachariah, you must note that also the conditions in the receiving countries are now tighter. It's not as it used to be.
But it has not been a deterrent to people going.
Felix, what do you say about public education?
Well, I think that certainly more needs to be done, and it will be done. The ministry has done its best under the circumstances, but they will do more in the coming days, yes.
They will do more. You're very certain about that.
They will do more.
I don't know.
But you see, sometimes you have to guard against creating unnecessary panic. So there's a way in which you do the education that doesn't create the impression that the thing is just at our doorstep.
We have had one situation where the person was subjected to test. The person is dead anyway. But it turned out that it was negative.
Yeah, on Ebola, I think that the dimensions are a lot, but one key dimension is to do with animal health, animal husbandry. They need to activate certain animal surveillance, and again, laboratory. It calls to serious question the need for our laboratory system.
The ECOWAS, when they met here, they have actually decided to do a support fund, and Nigeria has voted, is it $3 million into it? 3.5.
Well, good enough, but our medical personnel themselves well prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. Do they themselves know exactly how to handle these things?
Big question.
No, of course.
Apart from the public not having much awareness, the personnel themselves, the frontline personnel, are they well prepared?
Oh yeah, I can say that.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You have been watching Newsfile. You have been watching Newsfile at this moment. That's what I can say. You've been watching Newsfile. Newsfile. Thank you very much. My guests have been Abdul Malik Wekubaku Jr., Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading
We are not
Guide
going.
newspaper.
We are occupying this place.
Dr. Maria Zakaria is Organization and Development Analyst. Nana Kumia is Immediate Past Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, and Felix Kwachi Ofosu is the Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister. I'm Samson Ladi Anyenini. The news is up next, but this show will be rebroadcast so that those of you who missed it on radio will have the benefit. But also remember that at 9:30 p.m., this show, the entire show, is rebroadcast on this particular station. The show was produced by Sedem Ofori with assistance from Emmanuel Ante, Stephen Opuni, and Samuel Odame. Have a good afternoon.